I'm Barry Worthington.
I'm Adam Pendlebury.
I'm Paul Thorp.
And I'm Pete Reece.
This is the Progress with Unity podcast. Welcome to the latest edition of the Progress with Unity podcast. We're going to be doing the Blackburn Rovers reaction. First home win of the season, and then we've got a Sunderland preview to look forward to. Wigan Athletic 1, Blackburn Rovers 0. And I'm extremely delighted to welcome from Rovers Chat, Blackburn fan Dom Meadowcroft to the podcast this evening. How are you, Dom?
Personally, I'm doing all right. Just thinking about this, going through this game, having to review it. It's going to be another sort of thought, isn't it? I'm doing fine, though. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. And it's a full house tonight. There's myself, Pete, Paul, and Adam. We're all here. Let's get cracking. The first question I want to throw at Dom is, I was really looking forward to seeing Ben Brereton Diaz play yesterday. I noticed that he was virtually hugging the left touchline for the whole of the second half. And I found it very strange that you've got such a quality striker who's more or less a left winger.
Yeah, I think that's the perception that other fans have, that he is a striker, but he's hardly ever played there. He plays on the left wing, cuts inside, and that's usually where he gets his goals. In the first half, he played on the right, and John Dahl understood that isn't the position for him. His best position on the pitch is the left wing, and more of an inverted sort of winger rather than a striker. I don't think he's ever been a striker at Rovers, other than, being like a sort of square peg in a round hole sort of situation last season under Mowbray. But he's not played there at all this season. But because of the goals he gets, I think people probably think he is a striker.
Before we get down to our team selection and formation chat, I just wanted to ask you, Dom, going into the game, with your record of win, lose, and your other record of never winning at the DW since 1907, was you worried before the game?
I think it was a foregone conclusion what was going to happen yesterday. I think the fact that we went win, loss. I was like, oh, great, we lost, so we'll definitely lose this next game. That's absolutely fine. I don't think it's difficult to sort of review a game at the minute because we just know what's going to happen beforehand, and the fact that we're so poor when we lose and we're so good when we win, especially at home. Like you say, last time we beat Wigan at the DW, I've written it down here, January 1st, 2007. Paul Jewell was your manager. I brought down the team as well. You had the likes of Fitzhall, Lanzat, a person called Skoko in midfield. I don't know who that is, but
Australian international. Australian Josip Skoko, cracking player.
We had Mark Hughes as our manager. That's sort of how long ago it was, and I didn't realise the sort of record we had till yesterday before the Lancashire Telegraph reporter said it. I was like, oh my god, right, okay. So it seems like a bit of a curse on us at the minute, and it was sort of I knew that we weren't going to win with our record away from home this season, especially. I didn't realise that you never won this season at home, but I knew that as soon as somebody said that, I was like, right, okay. We're great in terms of getting people out of the funk.
Before we go any further, let's get down to team selection. There were changes from Saturday. Justified?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely justified. Yeah. I mean, it was our worst performance of the season against Cardiff. We struggled to pick a man of the match, which is always problematic. So there were going to be changes. We pretty much knew Bennett wasn't going to play because his confidence looked shot. I think it was a smart move bringing Naylor back in because of the way he finished the game. I thought he looked very good in that last 15, 20 minutes. And I think really just a bit more of, if you want to play your three centre-backs, play three centre-backs who know how to play those positions, because I think we looked a lot tighter at the back. And my final comment, because I felt a bit sorry for Dom then, is that our record is probably just as bad at Ewood Park, apart from the infamous chicken game when Alcaraz scored that late winner. So later on in the season, we'll be saying the same to you about how bad our recent record is at Rovers.
One quick thing there, Adam. Did you think picking a man of the match was dead easy last night then, if it was hard on Saturday?
To an extent, I have to say I watched the game on Sky last night and they were raving about Watmore. And I think a lot of Latics fans who wouldn't have watched it on Sky would have also gone for Watmore. but I thought Kerr was outstanding as well. I thought both of the central midfield players had really good games. So yeah, in answer to your question, it wasn't an easy one to pick, but a lot easier than it was on Saturday because essentially we could have given the guy who set the goalposts up the man of the match on Saturday.
Yeah, it was the opposite, wasn't it? It was hard because they all had good games, and I still will never get made round why you either get they all play well or they all play poorly.
John, from an opposition point of view, who stood out for you in the Wigan Athletic side?
The two centre-backs especially, so yeah, they played back three, but Tilt as well as the other two stood out for me. But I think that is, in a cynical way, I think that's because we were playing a false nine and it was such an easy game for you at the back. I think the fact that the two centre-mids stood out as well sort of showed our... I think the issue that we have at the minute is that we sit back and counter away from home, but we also want to play passing football, and it stretches the midfield so much because you want to get the counter going, but you also want to pass it around the back. So the two centre mids are just lost essentially at the minute away from home, meaning that the two centre mids for you ultimately will stand out, to be honest with you.
Pete,
we just looked a lot more comfortable, didn't we? I mean, on Saturday it was a confused performance, and last night everybody looked like they knew what they were doing. It was seemed to be a system that we know how to play. We've played it before. Yeah, everything seemed to slot into place. Coming back to the potential, the standout players and so on. But at some point during the second half, they showed a little cameo of Jack Watmo's interceptions. And I'd missed most of those because of some technical difficulties earlier on. And I couldn't believe this thing. I thought everyone that I'm looking at, every little interception and tackle that he's made, he just looked like Bobby Moore every single time. His timing and anticipation of where the ball's going to go is just utterly incredible at times.
What Adam said there about the fact that we played the right personnel in the positions as well, I think that was a really valid point. But before we move away from where you're talking about the midfield on, I noticed on Twitter, Blackburn fans giving Morton loads of stick. I know it was through the goal, but I actually thought he had quite a decent game for yourselves.
I mean, Twitter's an absolute cesspool. I mean, come on, let's not hesitate around the fact that Twitter is an absolute pits of a social media, and you'll have the worst opinions on there, won't you? I think Morton, every game that he's played, he's been very silky. He's gone through the Liverpool Academy. He's only 19. Don't we forget, he's quite young still, and these sort of issues will arise in his game. The inexperience in how to play it, the goal especially. I think loads of people saying it's a foul. I don't think it was, personally. I think it was just a player who was more experienced playing the football rather than trying to play passing. But I think, yeah, the way he passes the ball, the way he's so comfortable on it, I think that he is a Premier League player in the future.
Just on that particular point and loan players from the Premier League, I was just wondering how you feel he compares to Harvey Elliott.
When Morton came in, I didn't expect him to be. I didn't expect him to be such a tall, almost like a CDM. I thought he was more of a smaller player because for some reason, when I think of a younger player coming from Liverpool, now I think of like a smaller player coming in and being an attacking mid. It's almost like comparing apples to oranges because he's a CDM and Harvey Elliott was a winger / attacking mid. But I think the sort of the impact that he's had in this Rovers team is probably comparable. But I think that because of Elliott's numbers that he had in terms of goals and assists, his potential probably will be bigger in terms of market value anyway. But I think he definitely will be part of the Liverpool team next season, where, on the bench or,
Paul, who stood out for you last night? And there were some great performances. Naylor, Kerr, Tilt, Powers, Watmore, Broadhead, etc., etc.
I think you can't. I mean, Watmore's interceptions clearly and tidying up anything that came into the box. But when you think that Brereton Diaz is the absolute danger man and Tendai Darikwa kept him very quiet, I thought he had a great game. It was, for me, the best thing last night was seeing James McLean and Tendai Darikwa in the opposition half wanging crosses in. Not necessarily byline crosses, but getting balls in from, they were in advanced positions, and it was just a general positivity right throughout the team that, on Saturday, if they'd have got the ball in a position, instead of looking to go forward down the wings, they'd have turned around and passed it back across the back five. Like I said, the mentality was there last night for me.
Do you believe that Liam Richardson kind of went what I said the old Sheffield United Championship, where the basically the outside centre back, so in our case Tilty and Kerr, we're actually prepared to go forward as well and support that sort of gung-ho where Naylor could sit in and Power could sit in. Because I tell you what, Kerr whipped 2 or 3 cracking balls in last night and Tilt went on a couple of his runs. So I'm just wondering whether it's a slight tactical switch, because it's clearly a method that can work at this level if your outside centre-backs are actually able to go forward, and we know that Tilt can tear them apart again.
I just give an honourable mention to Max Power as well, because for some reasons I don't understand that he's taken a bit of stick recently. But I think there's no player in our team who is prepared to and can break the lines with a pass the way that he does. He's prepared to look for the through ball and play it quickly and accurately. And nobody else seems to do that. Everybody else is looking for the longer pass, the pass over the top. And he's looking, right, whose feet can I play this to? And he's very often bypassing the opposite midfield by doing it. And he was doing it again last night. It's one of his strengths.
It's that gamble, isn't it? You're trying to play that ball. If you get it wrong, you give it away and, you're caught on the back foot. If you throw a ball in over the top and you give it away, you're not caught out on the back foot. And it's a level of confidence and positivity to try those things. Like you say, it's always good to see. And when the bloke's not making the runs, you pass the ball into space and you just look like you've given it away. You've got to have a strength of character to keep trying, and then suddenly one works, and it's a great ball.
Yeah, it's bravery, isn't it?
Can I just go through the stats, because I want to come to Dom about this as well. He knows what I'm going to say here. With 43% possession, so obviously Blackburn had the most, but with 13 shots with 6 on target. Blackburn had 3 with none on target. 2-1 in the corner count to us. 11-10 in the fouls count to us, so it was a little bit more aggressive. We picked up 3 yellows. For Blackburn, Brereton got booked for diving, and Sam Gallagher dove as well in the box. The attendance, 13,611. Must be a stat there that worries you, Dom. Just 3 attempts, not on target. You only had 2 attempts at Cardiff as well, didn't you?
Yeah, the last three home games, we only had 3 on target between the 3 games, and the Cardiff game was a 94th minute penalty that we missed as well. So it is worrying, to be honest with you, away from home. Like I say, we know how to be resolute at home. We almost play a different style than away. I'm not too sure why, because if you're good enough, you should play the right way every time. But like I said, we sit back, but we try and play the possession game between the 6 at the back or the 3 and the 7 at the back, and that's probably why the stats are so skewed in the possession, but no shots on target, because we've got the ball in the first third rather than the final third. And the fact that you're going forward so quickly, crossing in, like you say, from to be honest with you, the first thing I said in the game or this review was Wigan deserved the win, and he absolutely did.
Thank you very much. Yeah. I like that.
Just very quickly,
can I just ask Dom a question? Because it looked to me like the best chance that you had last night was in the second half, when the ball came over from the right wing, kind of nodded on or skidded off somebody's head, landed at Diaz's feet, and he took a shot with his right foot. I don't know if he shinned it or whatever, but it wasn't anything like a good finish. And I'm just wondering, because if he's more of a left-sided player, is he predominantly right-footed? Because that looked very much like a right-footed player's shot.
Yeah, like I say, he's an inverted winger, so what he'll do is he'll get the ball cut inside, and that's what we're trying to implement. But the fact that we've got, Paul said that we fizzed a few shots across, crosses across the box, and we're playing with this like false 9 system it didn't work at the end of last season, and it's not really working this season away from home. And yeah, to answer your question, he is predominantly right-footed. I remember the chance; it was a bit too high for his first touch. It was about mid-level, so you don't really know how to touch it down. But yeah, he sort of skewed it with his shin, didn't he, to be honest with you?
Yeah, I know I expected Amos to have to work there, at least if it didn't go in. Sigh of relief on our part.
One thing that is always good to report, and it usually comes after a win, the referee thought he was all right last night.
There was 1 or 2. It wasn't as bad as Saturday. Nowhere near.
That referee last night, Josh Smith, has only been in the Football League for 3 years, only 28, and he should have been in the Select Group 1 this season in the Premier League, but he failed his fitness test in the summer, so he didn't get promoted. So if you're thinking he looks a little bit tubby, that's the reason why. Man of the match, as voted for by the Progress with Unity listeners on both Facebook and Twitter, was Latix Jack Watmore. So congratulations to Jack, and well done. And I'd just like to say a massive thank you, Don, for joining us. I appreciate your honesty in saying you thought we deserved the victory, which is always refreshing to hear from an opposition fan.
It's a pleasure being on. Cheers for having me on, and please go follow Rovers Chat.
Thanks, Dom.
Thanks a lot, Dom.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
On Saturday, we're travelling over to the northeast, up to, I was going to say Roker Park, but the Stadium of Light. And I'm delighted to say that I got Gavin with us today from the Roker Report. How are you doing, Gav?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Not bad. Just finished work, just had me tea, so you've caught us at a good time because I'm content. And this is the start of my day, really.
Let's get straight into it. You came up last season with us and Rotherham. I think all three of us made a relatively good start to the season. We was all happy. There was a bit of a shock with yourselves when Alex Neil left.
He gave us all a bit of a fright, I think, when he when he came out and took that Stoke job. But to be fair, when the rumours first surfaced, none of us believed it. We all thought it was a load of rubbish. And then it became quickly apparent that it was true, that he had actually just left Sunderland to join the club we just beat on Saturday away from home. And yeah, to be fair, we got over it very quickly. We didn't dwell on it. The club, when they appointed Alex Neil, took ages to find a replacement for Lee Johnson. And in that 2-week period where we didn't have an actual manager, we lost 2 very winnable home games. We got beat off Doncaster, who hadn't won in forever, and we got beat off Cheltenham, who hadn't won in forever. And I actually think that, if we'd had a manager in when we had those 2 games, we might have went up automatically. So we made a quick decision this time around. From what we've heard, Tony Mowbray was already pretty much, they hadn't officially lined him up, but he had been going to games. He's very close to our head of recruitment, who apparently he shared a flat with when he was at Blackburn. It was inevitable it would be Tony Mowbray. And I think whilst maybe not the majority, but a fair few Sunderland fans, they weren't really impressed when they saw it was him who took the job. But I was really happy with it because I'd watched Blackburn last season. I'd seen they had such a young team. They played good football. And you don't stay 4 or 5 years in a job at any level of football these days unless you're doing something right. So he's come in here and it all just fits perfect. Although he's from Middlesbrough, he only lives a 45-minute commute from the training ground, which he's talked about numerous times about how, he can be home for his tea at the end of the day and he sees his kids. And that's massive. If your manager's already settled in and he's got a good home life, then being able to just come into work every morning and get on with his job is a weight off his shoulders. And that combined with the fact he's got existing relationships with staff, existing relationship with our captain, of course, Corey Evans, who played for years under him at Blackburn. Yeah, I was really happy with the appointment. And to be fair to him, he's just slotted in. There's been no sort of transitional period. He realised that Alex Neil had been doing a good job and that he didn't really need to change much, and he hasn't had to change anything really. So I think the ones who weren't sure about him at first, he's already won them over because he talks sense, he talks like us, and the football's good and he's given young kids chances, and we've had a canny start, so you can't really complain, to be fair.
You say you started off well, so September wasn't too bad, but October, you've played 3 games in October. You've only scored 1 goal and got 2 points.
It doesn't. I guess the results written down don't tell the full story. Against Preston, we had more than enough chances to win. And you know what Preston are like. I don't think they've barely conceded a goal this season. And they were just tough to break down. I think we felt a little bit unlucky in that game. Then we played Blackpool last Tuesday. And again, their keeper makes 2 worldy saves during the game. Another day, we would have won that game. And then Swansea away last weekend. I mean, they're the best team we've played this season by a mile. They played us off the park first half. Second half, we came out, we gave them more of a game. And I spoke to a Swansea fan for our site this week, and he said, I think you can probably count yourselves unlucky you didn't get a point. And I actually think, when you look at Swansea's form, they've won 4 on the bounce now. They're probably going to be right up there. So I'm not really sure on paper that those results tell the full story. On top of that, we don't have a striker. We haven't played with a striker since we played Middlesbrough, start of September. So we don't have a single fit striker. Ross Stewart's out till probably after the World Cup, and he's our best player. Ellis Sims, he picked up a toe injury away at Reading very early in the game, and we had to play on without him. But it's funny because that game when Sims went off, after he went off, we played without a striker and scored 3 goals against the team who were probably second in the league. So, I don't think it tells the full story. I think what most fans will tell you is that we're playing good stuff. The football's nice. And the lads who we've got, a lot of them are young kids. A lot of them are lads we've bought because they're prospects. Like the ethos of the club at the minute is to try and develop players. We've never really been like this. So it's only been the last couple of years where we've seen Sunderland sign players for the future. And we're seeing a lot of young kids get the chance. And it's just nice to go to games now. Like, you've got to think, I know you guys might have a similar feeling about the Championship, but we've come up and all we've said is we don't want to get relegated. Don't go down. Don't struggle. And we'll be happy. And I think we've seen enough this season to say we're not going to struggle. We're going to be all right. That's maybe why everyone's a little bit more relaxed. And I think that'll benefit us. I mean, if we get beat off you guys next weekend, the pressure's on a little bit more because we do have to win a game soon. But it's all caveated by that thing that we just don't have a striker. What do? We've been playing with a false 9. We've been playing quite an attractive style of football, but with no forward on the pitch. And that's maybe why results have changed a little. But we aren't panicking. And I think that's translate on the pitch. The players aren't panicking either. They're playing decent. So Mowbray's doing all right. He's saying all the right things, and I think he's going to say there's a honeymoon period with most managers, but for him it can probably go on another couple of months at least because we're not struggling, and that's the main thing. Talking
about your style of play, I saw the highlights of the game down at Reading, and that goal you scored, I think it was the third goal, is the best goal I've seen this season at any level. I mean, what a goal that was. Best
Sunderland goal I've ever seen. I've never seen a team goal as well constructed as that. It's funny because the 2 goals we scored before that were both brilliant, but you don't remember those now because of that being so good. But in my lifetime, easily the best goal I've ever seen Sunderland score. And I mean, anybody who watched that goal, you'll see the way we play. Like that is generally how we try and play. Small little triangles, 1-2s, get up the wing as quick as we can and get forward in behind and stuff. That's how Sunderland play. And against teams like Preston, who just want to sit on the edge of their own box and defend, you're going to struggle to break them down. Similarly, Blackpool, and then we went away to Swansea, who are a total football team, and it's difficult to play against a side like that at home. But that style you saw in that goal at Reading, and in the first 2 goals as well, that's what we're getting this season. And we started playing like that under Lee Johnson. It tailed off a little. Under Alex Neil, it was just about getting promoted, so the style of play suffered a little. But this year, it's like watching. I'm not going to say Brazil, but we're trying our best to play something fairly attractive. And any Sunderland fans listening to this will know what I mean when I say, certainly in my lifetime, I've probably only seen one other Sunderland team try and play decent football. The rest of the time we've been struggling or trying to get a job done, and your style of play does suffer as a result. So that goal is wholly representative of how Sunderland are playing this season.
Of the new lads you brought in, I mean, we're well acquainted with the squad from last season and the season before, but of the new lads who's come in, I know Ellis Sims is out, so we're not going to see him. Who's standing out for you? Who's the guys to watch?
A little bit of a tough one. It's largely the same team in terms of the starting 11 who played last season. I mean, we signed Dan Ballard from Arsenal, and he started the season brilliant, big centre half, and got an injury, and I think he's still a few weeks away. So we haven't got him to call upon at the minute. The standout for me, certainly since we come back from the international break, has been Adji Elise, who's a big, tall, athletic left centre half who's playing left back at the minute. We got him from West Ham. West Ham fans were gutted. They thought he was going to be in their first team in the Premier League this season. They sold him to us after starting every game in pre-season at centre half for West Ham. And he's had to wait a little bit to get his chance. Our left back, Dennis Serkin, got injured, and Elise got his chance, and Serkin can't get in the side now, and that's because Elise has played so well. He was brilliant at the weekend. We were disappointing on Saturday, but he was outstanding. And then against Blackpool and Preston, just awesome. He's just brilliant. I'm looking at him now, and he's played 7 senior games in his career. Like, he never played a proper Premier League or Cup game for West Ham. So he's come to us. He's played 7 senior games, and I'm already looking at him thinking Prem teams are going to be looking at him soon already because he's that good. Other than that, we've got a few kids who we signed from abroad. Some of them I think might actually start at the weekend because they didn't get in the team at Swansea, to a lot of our surprise. But I think the performance, like I say, was poor, and he'll probably ring the changes a little bit. We've got a central midfielder, Abdullah Bar. We signed him from Le Havre in France. He looks good. We signed an 18-year-old Costa Rica international winger called Jewison Benetti. He came in from the Costa Rican league and nobody knew a thing about him, but he scored away at Watford off the bench. Every time he comes on, he looks a threat. He might start if Jack Clark moves up front in the game. Got Amad Diallo from Man United, who they paid nearly 40 million for. We've got him on loan. He started against Blackpool, did okay. Didn't make the starting 11 for Swansea, but he might come back in. But the main ones for me have probably been like Jack Clark and Patrick Roberts, who we had last season, but we didn't have them permanently. We signed them in the summer on permanent deals. Clark in particular has been outstanding sort of right through the season. I mean, I wasn't his greatest fan in League One, but this year he looks a different player. Scored again at the weekend. He's a real handful. Quick, big, really good feet. He'll shoot from anywhere. If your fullbacks don't like defending, he's gonna take advantage of that. We've signed a lot of players, but who you might have to look out for. It's hard to pin onto one player because there's so many of them, and to be fair to Mowbray, he's given them all chances.
Going forward to Saturday, can you give us a prediction? What sorts of formation are you going to be playing, and are you going to tear us apart?
Well, last season we did all right against Wigan. I think did we win every game? I think we even beat you in the cup as well. I might be wrong, but that means nothing now. I guess, like I say, our team's changed a lot. I'm sure yours has changed a little bit since then. At the Stadium of Light, we're a match for anybody. What it's about really is will the players sort of react to the fact we had 3 bad results last week. Say bad results, 2 goalless draws and a defeat away at Swansea. I think we'll give you a good game. Like I say, one thing you can say about Sunderland is we try to play good football, and you'll playing against the side who try and pass it around you and try and get in behind. I guess the only thing is are we going to score goals? Are the players who we've got going to be able to finally turn up? Mowbray's got to look at the way he picked the team last weekend and maybe bring in a few different players, and that will affect the result, I'm sure. But I actually think we'll win. We're due a win. We haven't won since we beat Reading, and that feels like a year ago. I know it wasn't. It was only a month ago. But I think we'll win. I think it'll be close, though. I think the fact that Wigan have got so many ex-Sunderland players, that'll play into the occasion. They'll want to get one over on us just because it's us, and it's totally understandable. Our fans don't really like James McLean. I think they do like Max Power and Charlie White, but they'll get on their case regardless. I think we'll edge it. I think he'll score. I don't know what you were like on set pieces, but we're awful on set pieces. We've got 3 players with any height. The rest of the team are midgets. So if you can get the crosses into the box, I think they'll score. But I do think we'll win. I just feel like it's our time to maybe grab a result. 2-1. We'll play 4 at the back. We'll play 2 in the middle. We'll play with a number 10, 2 wingers, and a false 9 because we don't have a striker. If I was going to give any tips to the Wigan manager on what to do, it would just be to tell the players to win some corners, because at some point you're going to force the keeper into a save, or it's going to go into the back of the net. You're going to have to work hard against us. But I'm sure you will, because like us, you're fighting still.
Thank you very much for joining us, Gavin. Thank you very much.
No problem.
A Sunderland fan, Gavin Henderson, a name that will resonate with Sunderland fans, won't it? Because obviously it was the 20 million sale to Liverpool. I've enjoyed the last 2 or 3 previews. I think this one was a bit different because I think it didn't really have necessarily the impartiality of the previous ones. It seemed to be even the games that Sunderland haven't won, or the games that they've lost, they've deserved to win. If they've lost games, it's because of injuries. I don't know how much he invested, but they did bring a lot of players in the summer. He alluded to one, Dalot, is it, from Manchester United, a £40 million player. What I did find quite interesting was some of these overseas signings who he'd given quite a bit of promise to. I mean, I have to say that they're not really players that I'm familiar with. There's the guys coming from some Costa Rica. 2 obvious ones, of course, players that we'd be more familiar with are obviously likes of Patrick Roberts, who I'm surprised he hasn't gone further, because I remember a couple of games he played in the Champions League, I think, where he looked really good. Clearly very confident, because he's gone for a 2-1 win to the Mackems. Thank you for your contribution, but I have to say that I do respectfully disagree with a couple of your points.
From what Gavin said, I think the one bit of positivity from our point of view is the fact that, from his point of view, they're all a team of midgets. They're not very good at set pieces. That's clearly something to exploit. Sounds like the goalkeeper's not too hot either. And he basically said it, didn't he? If I were telling the Wigan manager what to do, I'd be telling him to get the ball in the box and so on. And I think that is what we do anyway, isn't it? So it would be absolutely fantastic if Charlie White got a couple of goals there, wouldn't it? Let's face it.
Yeah, I think winding James McLean up away from home always works well for the opposition fans, doesn't it? Yeah, every time they have a go at him, he has a good game. So, yeah, crack on, lads. Shall we have a ref watch for the Sunderland game then? The referee will be Keith Stroud from Bournemouth, and he's in his 18th season as a referee in the Football League. He spent 2 seasons in the Premier League before getting demoted back down to Championship level. He last ref the Latics away at Derby in October 2019, which was a 1-0 win for the Rams, with Graham Shinney scoring a stoppage time goal. His card watch so far this season is that he's taken charge of 10 games, and 7 of those have come in the Championship, and he's issued 50 yellows, 2 reds, and he's awarded 1 penalty. And Keith Stroud last refereed Sunderland early this season, which was their 3-2 Championship away win at Bristol City back in August. And that's Keith Stroud, who will be the referee on Saturday against Sunderland.
Coming on to previous meetings with Sunderland, I think what's interesting is we seem to have built quite a lot of rivalry up with them over, the last decade or so. We've played them 26 times in total. Over half of those, 14, have come in the top flight. We've won 9 of them, lost 10 and 7 draws, so it's very close. First meeting goes all the way back to 10th of October 1987, which was a 4-1 defeat in Division 3 at Roker Park, and our former physiotherapist, Alex Cribley, suffered a career-ending injury in that game. The return fixture at Springfield Park ended 2-2, but it became notorious even in Latics legend, and I think in Sunderland legend, for the infamous mudslide on the Shavington end, which, and if you've never seen that, then look it up on YouTube. It's fantastic. Of the last 12 games, we've only won 3, so it's 7 defeats. 2 of those wins came during our administration season, 2021 season, 1-0 at the Stadium of Light, and then completed the double over them with a 2-1 win at the DW, which was a fantastic achievement and just about sealed or staying up that season. But last season, we lost twice in the league to them and once in the cup. So I think we're due for a victory, surely, aren't we?
Predictions for Saturday. I think we'll keep the same team, if I'm being honest. And it's going to be a fantastic away performance. Like Adam, that false 9 will suit us. Like Pete, they've got a team of midgets. I can see 2 goals coming, 1 in the first half and then 1 late on, as they're trying to put pressure on us. We'll break away and score. So for Barry, it's a Wigan Athletic win, 2-0.
Not too dissimilar to Barry. Might be one change depending on where White's up to fitness-wise. That could be the only change for me, McGuinness for White. But I'm going to go for a 2-1 win.
Yeah, let's not get carried away. I'm going to settle for a 1-1 draw. I think there'll be a couple of changes rather than just 1 or 2. I think we'll stick with the 2 or 3 a game.
Not sure about changes or not, but I definitely think we're going to win. We're playing away, which does seem to be our strong point. And yeah, I think we're going to do it. I think we're going to go for I'm going to go for 2-0 on the basis I said before. It'll be Charlie White and Nathan Broadhead with assists from Max Power and James McLean.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much for that, lads. Thank you very much to Gavin from Roker Report and Dom from Rovers Chat. We'll be back on Sunday with all the reaction to the Sunderland game and a preview of the Borough game next Wednesday. So until then, it's a hope the ninth in the table ticks, and come on.
Up the ticks.